Vaudeville News Media. I am your host, Ken Starr. Angry cock kills man. The big thank you. Cockfighting is part of Mexico's real culture. A California man, Jose Luis Olcha, age 35, is going to find out if there is an afterlife when he meets his ancestors. After reportedly suffering a gruesome demise after an accident involving a metal-enhanced cock blade from a cockfighting rooster, stabbed him repeatedly in the artery of the leg. In other news, the chicken killer has been caught. Limestone County, Alabama. Alabama teenager was arrested Thursday after he showed that he is a man of his word when he placed a demand on his mother to mend a relationship between her and his girlfriend. Hayden Smith, 18, was arrested Thursday and charged with domestic violence, third degree, and criminal mischief. Deputies say the situation started when Smith texted his mother threatening to kill one of her chickens every 15 minutes until she contacted his girlfriend's parents and attempted to mend their broken relationship. Smith gave his mother a deadline of noon before he started killing her chickens. He also threatened to burn down his mother's house, kill any deputies that arrived on the scene, and kill himself, according to County Sheriff's Office. Smith then began sending his mother photos of each chicken he killed every 15 minutes. When he was arrested, the death count was 6. There's no word on Smith's current relationship. In business, Yum Brands is affiliated of a KFC stock, and their stock's been rising to lack of chickens. I wonder why. Coming up next, chickenpox vaccine contains cowpox. Is this why our kids still get chickenpox and or the shingles? I Can't Star will let you know. Always doing the news for you. First part of the topic is currency nothing but an illusion? I would have to say yes. It's a fabrication of our own limited intelligence. Look at the dollar, American dollar. It's nothing but dyed piece of cotton with numbers on it. That's it. It represents a person's sweat and blood. What he earned, he doesn't get to keep. He has to give some of his sweat and blood to others. And this lets him keep his house or his property or the place where he lives, and lets him have electricity, and lets him have everything that we could do without using currency. Some say it's a seed of sin. Well, 95% of all the crimes would end if you did away with currency. Sure, there'd be those who would seek power and power over other individuals and wish to control them somehow. Currency is nothing more than legal slavery. A person will do anything to obtain this power over other people. We have the technology at this present time and moment to do away with currency. We can build houses in matter of one day using 3D printing technology. We are able to feed the world in a smaller space. If you don't believe me, check out aquaponics. We have technology that doesn't even require us to use oil. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't believe in global warming, but I do believe in pollution. If you ever seen smog in a city, then you'd understand what I'm saying. And breathing in those toxins just as bad as you killing your neighbor with a gun, because you're filling it up at a pump using your sweat and blood to fill up your tank. Now, is that good? I don't know. Why is it that we have to have money? Does anyone know? The world wouldn't come to an end. People become doctors because they want to heal people, not because they want to be rich. People become teachers because they want to teach. They want to pass on knowledge. They want to help people learn. This is a noble cause. People go into construction because they love to work with wood or to build. Become architects because they envision their dreams and wish to see it built. People do things not for monetary gain. How is it that we are able to come so far in the world and in society, technology, we will not cure anything? There's more money to be made in treating the disease than in curing it. If you cure it, then there's no more of that disease. But if you just treat the symptoms of it, ease the pain, maybe make it regress a little bit, not too much, because you got to keep taking those meds. But if we did away with money, then the motivation would be to cure. wouldn't it? I think science would go far beyond. We'd have colleges. If you don't believe that this is possible, you should really check out Venus Project. The Venus Project is by far one of the most intellectual, honest ideas I've ever come across. I was searching for people the like-minded of myself, and that's when I came across the Venus Project. The problem is not so much the money. It's the problem is people's ideology about money. They think they can't do anything without it. How would things run? How would you fix roads? How would you do this? I mean, you need money to do that. You need to pay people. I'm thinking, no, we can build roads without even using manpower. We have 3D printing technology that can build houses in a day. We have the technology to do roads by themselves, robotic equipment. Hell, even McDonald's has robotic. I mean, if you don't believe me, read the article. I kind of enjoy that. No more spittle in my food and no more floor burgers. I think this is moving us into the right direction because when there's enough people who are unemployed, do not have any income, we're going to have to come to a consensus. There is another way. Money is not everything, but look at it. People will rob you, steal from you, kill, cheat, lie. They will work themselves to death, sell their bodies for it. For what? For what? A piece of dyed cotton with numbers on it. Now, if you have reached this point and understand what I'm saying, then go a little bit further. What's a freaking credit card? It's imaginary money. It's like having an imaginary friend and blaming him for all your faults. A credit card, look at it. Every month you get charged, okay? And if you don't pay the whole balance off, next month they're gonna charge you the interest that you accumulated on the money that you didn't pay off. And all they're doing is putting a chain around your neck. This is a form of slavery. If you really think about it, money and currency of all kind is a chain around your neck. What's the word I'm looking for? It's volunteer slavery. You volunteer to be a slave, give half your blood and sweat, if not more, because you're taxed at the pump, you're taxed at the store, you're taxed here, you're taxed to take a shit. Every time you flush that toilet, you're getting taxed for taking a shit. So, think about it. Every time, every place, you're paying a tax. Oh, well, that's good because we need the goods and services. Who needs it? Really? Our health would be better if we weren't taxed, if you think about it. There wouldn't be so many toxins. There wouldn't be so many things. Well, we need all this stuff. Well, really? Do you really? Not one person. Well, I can't say that. There was this news article I read a while back ago. College students, an assessment test that was written back in the 1850s. A sixth grade assessment test. And not one of them passed. And these are college students. They couldn't pass an 1850s assessment test. We're throwing money into the educational system. Why is it homeschool children or enter college sooner in their teens and have a better education, are more prepared for college? I don't understand it. It's personal responsibility. I know that. We're all personally responsible for ourselves and our children. But when you put power into someone else who doesn't really care about you, except obtaining more power and more control, then you're going to have problems because they're not loyal to you. You know what I want you to do? I want you to take your favorite team jersey and buy your wife or loved one or whoever a nice dinner. That's what it is. Cotton dyed with a number on it. There you go. Here's a 52 jersey, Keep the change. Come on. Same ideology. You think that's stupid, but it's the same principle. It's the same thing. It's a dyed piece of cotton. That's it. Look at Bitcoin. They got a computer that grinds and grinds and grinds. This is what they call mining. Now, you're mining what? Nothing. Coins is just imaginary money. It's like Mario Brother hitting a coin box over and over and over. You just keep jumping and hitting his head against Mario just keeps jumping and hitting his head on the ceiling up there, and all you see is these coins just popping up. Bing, 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 bing. That's all it is. It's imaginary. It has no real value, but it's coming out of thin air. Now let's talk about how could this end 95% of the crime. Okay. Oh, the biggest problem we have is drugs. Well, what's the motivation for criminals to money? You hear it in every music video and everything else. It's always about money. Okay, let's take gangs. Okay, Aryan Nation, whoever. If you take the money out of the product that they're selling, you take the motivation for them to be selling that product. Prostitution, is a woman going to give it to you for free? I mean, come on. You take the incentive for them to commit these crimes. Now, will rape still happen? Sure. That is not motivated by greed. It's usually a psychological problem the person has. And I personally think each one should have a bullet in their head so they don't reprocreate. Okay, so we solved the drug problem there. People are going to still have drugs and want to use drugs, but the motivation for the crime to happen in the turf wars over a block so they can sell this product to some guy, the deaths involved in the crime to obtain imaginary funds is eliminated. Now, let's say Congress, okay? Greed is the motivator for bad policy. If you take money out of the system, most of the laws that are passed by Congress and by the Senate, if you take out the incentive, then you take out the corruption. Laws, then we wouldn't have so many laws. We wouldn't have so many people in prison either. People wouldn't go to prison for not paying their taxes. Now you would have free health care. Actually, free health care because you're not getting taxed. You don't have to pay for it. Doctors are becoming doctors because they want to heal people. Everyone can go to college for free. Everyone can go to a higher learning area and learn whatever they want. Now, in today's society, with our technology, we each would have to do a 4-hour job once a week we hate. But think about it. The rest of the time, 6 days and 20 hours is yours. Does that seem fair? It seems fair to me. They got the machines. They got the technology that does all this for you. So we eliminated most of the prison system because that's mostly financially motivated. Let's talk about more of the crime. Robbery. Most of the time, robbery is to obtain money. Well, if there's no money, what are you going to rob? If everything's free, you go into the store. This is a stick up. I'm going to take all your food. Well, it's free. Go ahead. What the hell? Okay. Well, are you following me here? Are you? Really? Come on. Tell me now. So, we've eliminated robbery, theft. We've eliminated almost all of the murder is over money. Now, there's these people who think I'm crazy when I say all the mass shooters are, it's not the gun, it's the problem, it's the drugs that they're on, the legal ones that alter the brain chemistry. Oh, that has nothing to do with it. I mean, it is a common effect, but it's a placebo. It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't, just because they're tripping their asses off doesn't mean that it's the drug that was, caused the mental break and so forth. Yeah. Well, we still have religious whack jobs out there, like the Muslims, Brotherhood, and ISIS and all them. So let's get back on the crime here. What's the motivation for politics? Money. I mean, look at the president. A president has to spend almost $1 billion for a $400,000 job a year, He gets $400,000 a year for, is that Greta economics? Oh, it's the privilege to serve your country. Yeah. No, not really. It's a privilege just for the servicemen. They should be getting the $400,000 a year per. If you want to vote for war, I think you should be the first, and your children should be on the front line. If you're not willing to sacrifice your own kid on the front lines, it's not worth fighting. But yeah, here we go again. Another crime, war. Sometime in the 1970s, we tied our imaginary dollar, to oil. So we buy all the Canadian oil and thing we produce. Okay, but we had a deal with OPEC, and there's this UN law that says that no oil producing country can outbid each other by 1 cent, more than 1 cent. And OPEC feeds Europe, okay? Saudi Arabia is, I think, if I remember the ratio right, produces about 60% of all the oil. I think it's 45, maybe. I have to double check my figures, so don't quote me on this, but it's somewhere between 45 to 60% of all the world's reserve oil. Okay, the United States monopolized Canadian oil and our own oil. The world have to use the U.S. dollar because OPEC and United States have an agreement that they will only sell their oil, which is all of Europe and Africa and everywhere else in the known world, using only a U.S. dollar. So countries will buy T-bonds, U.S. T-bonds, and when they do this, they're buying our debt. Okay? When they buy our debt, this keeps our cash flow going. Okay, now if they hold on to our debt, well, we have to borrow more money from an independent bank called the Federal Reserve. So we get charged interest on this imaginary money that we give them. Okay, this is our money, our blood and sweat. We're getting charged interest on, so our government can create more debt. It's a never-ending system. This works great for us, but the rest of the world, well, not so much. It's starting to piss off a lot of countries, and like China, commies. I hate socialists. I hate the ideas that they have. Okay, but China is not so much that way anymore. They moved away from socialism, and they're becoming more like Russia. Russia moved away from socialism and communist ideas, but China devalued their dollar artificially, their yen, and they used our debt to build a super oil refinery over in Saudi Arabia. Well, the only agreement we have with Saudi Arabia is that they will only sell oil using US dollars. Nothing about gasoline, nothing about propane, nothing about other products. So China built this super oil refinery, and it's big enough to, I do believe, if I remember right, it's big enough to supply the whole world with gasoline. Now think about that. Now you got a barge that couldn't go down there and fill it up, bring it back, billions of barrels of gasoline. You got to think about it. So they deflated their yen, and they've been keeping it low. With their unfair trading policy with China, we're racking up a hell of a hefty $1 trillion debt already. I do believe it's going into the $2 trillion debt we owe China, and we're going to have to pay interest on that also. It's funny to me. It really is. The ignorance that we have. We could be sharing all this resources with each other. We don't even need oil. We don't need none of this stuff. But yet, we have to crank out that chain. Create more slaves. Every time a baby is born, a parent is happy. Bankers are happier because they got a new slave. Because that child's just inherited $50,000 in debt right at the time it was born. Now, let's move into a different idea about pharmaceutical companies. Any company, it's financially stupid. A company is there to make a profit. It's not, and I understand how this works. A pharmaceutical company will not make a cure for cancer, AIDS, or anything. The reason why is they want repeat customers. Why would they make a cure that would only net them a few hundred billion when they can make 100 billion every year? They could genetically wipe out all cancer, make us genetically immune to all cancer. They can make us, it's called synthetic biology, epigenetics. You should really read that. The messaging system of our genetics. Epigenetics means above genetics. Blows my mind that all this is for an imaginary piece of paper that we give power to. If you took money away from them, there'd still be doctors trying to find cures for scientists, everything. People don't go into this field to make money. They actually want to help people. But there are those who don't care. So let's think about it. All right, there's no more money, okay? Now we got people who are motivated to find a cure. Like, there's this, in 1997, there was this doctor who invented a genetically altered cold virus and had a 98% success rate and a 99% reduction rate. I mean, it actually make cancer and tumors go into remission. And the 98% success rate was zero cancer. Okay, it'd shrink a tumor the size of an orange down to nothing. Okay, or to a manageable size where it could be surgically removed. Now, this was back in 1990s. All right, in 97. This was in the human trial stage and it had a success rate. It takes 10 years for testing in human trials, okay? The human trials were up in 1997. Where is this cold virus remedy? Genetically altered cold virus. I don't see it. They do pay for new ways how adaptation can happen to cancer. Like in Tasmanian devils, they have an unusual cancer. They bite each other on the noses, and there's a bacteria that's transmitted from the bite. This bite, the bacteria actually carries a cancer virus, and then it affects the other host. So they were wondering if this could happen with the flu virus. And so to do this testing, they have to genetically engineer a cold virus to carry the cancer cell to see if it's possible for this adaptation to take place. All right, well, what's this going to do? Increase cancer rate if that cold virus gets out. There's a man down in South America who has AIDS. He died from cancer, from a tapeworm. A tapeworm had cancer, and it transmitted this cancer to him. It's because his immune system was so demolished from the AIDS that the transmission of the cancer multiplied within his system. This is the first human causation of cancer that we know of. Now, since this is happening, we know that we can transfer cancer from one organism to another, and but can splice a spider protein into a goat so a goat can produce more silk so we can have more body armor. We know this is called synthetic biology. You also call them biohackers. So it's so easy now to obtain the equipment to manufacture anything you want. A lot of people out there and a lot of doctors are actually looking for their own cures to do this. This is what we did in the 1800s, the 1900s, until the pharmaceutical companies said, hey, we can make it for you, make it a lot cheaper for you, doctor. You give us your patent and we'll make it for you and manufacture it for you. And slowly they just started taking over that job. It used to be that your local doctor would find a cure for you. He knew how to treat certain symptoms and colds and stuff, but now it's the other way around. The pharmaceutical companies are telling doctors on personal retreats that this medicine is better for this, but we can't sue them. We can't get our sweat and blood or tears back from these companies because they're immune from prosecution. They can pump out whatever they want and it can kill people or whatever, but we can't sue them for it because they want to keep their power. Now the same thing with genetically modified foods. Why would you want a genetically modified salmon to swim into a natural habitat? Why would you even want that? Really? We don't know how that's going to affect the ecosystem of what if those salmons kill the other salmons? I mean, they look nice. I mean, they got six packs. They're made of muscle. They're lean. They're bigger and more aggressive. But, we didn't learn from the killer bees. I guess we'll learn from the killer salmon, I guess, huh? We're going to kill ourselves. Some say, Christians are crazy when John the Baptist wrote Revelations, but it kind of makes you wonder. The four horsemen, of the apocalypse. The first one is conquest, The second one is war. The third one is famine and disease. Look around. What starts most of the wars? Banks, money, greed, wanting something else that someone has. What's conquest? To impose your ideology on others. Some Aramaic Christians like myself think this is the first horseman was Muhammad, the Muslim faith. Second was the banking system. Bankers and corporations that own the banks want to perpetuate war so they can make more of a profit, much like Rothschild did, England. Um, Now look at famine. We're genetically modified corn, so any insect that eats it has ingests small amounts of pesticides, so it dies. But insects are resilient. They become adapted to that, so they have to find natural means to destroy it, something that they can't fight against. Nematodes. Now you're feeding your children the pesticide that's genetically embedded into the corn. You can't wash that out, you know. It's in the DNA of the corn. Roundup, you gotta love it. So, and if a farmer who has his own seeds, can't save that back anymore because those seeds don't belong to you. You're just renting it. Just like your life. You're renting your life. When you die, you get taxed. Your children are going to get taxed for him dying, called death tax. Think about it. Is this what we want for our children? Is this kind of world that was made for us? No, it's not. Hypocrites everywhere. So, if you like what I said and you agree with 10% of what I said, check out Venus Project. Check it out.